Hello and welcome to our Haskell Day preview show brought to you by Monmouth Bets. I'm your host, Peter Thomas Fornital. Very happy to be here with you and an esteemed panel. We'll start with the man in the pink jacket, as he so often likes to sport that Betmakers pink. He is my co-host, really, for this show. The man with all the betting news. He is Dallas Baker. Dallas, how are things?
Peter, hello. Lovely, mate. Great to be back online with you. It's been a while since we've done something together, but this is a really good Haskell and it's a really good race day. Won't hold everybody up. Looking forward to getting into it. We've got some great stuff coming up and a great team which you're about to introduce.
Indeed. We will start with a woman whose work you've heard on our In the Money airwaves. She's an Eclipse Award winner and a fantastic analyst currently working for World Horse Racing. She's Naomi Tucker. Naomi, what's going on?
Oh, good. Be joined Eclipse Award winner with you, might I add. Quite the honor, quite the honor. I was actually going to comment on some of people's backgrounds because Dallas has got a great background, but Pete, you're taking the cake there with the surfboard in the back. Does that get any use or?
Don't ask me to get out on it. Just a nice decoration we have here. Naomi doing double duty today. Not only going to be giving her thoughts on the form, but also had a chance to talk to some of the key players in the Haskell itself. We'll be getting those tidbits in starting very soon. But first, must introduce a man whose work you know from InTheMoneyPodcast.com, from behind the microphone at Sam Houston, one of the most respected handicappers, form analysts, whatever you want to call him, in the business. He's Nick Tamaro. Nick, what's going on?
I'm doing great. I don't have a salmon jacket or a surfboard or anything really to offer other than my opinion, which everybody's probably disappointed with by this point anyway. So it's all I've got.
We mentioned the fine work Naomi has done in the run-up to this, talking to key connections. None more key than a man just intricately associated with the Haskell at this point. That's Bob Baffert. She starts off asking Bob to what prompted him to give Arabian Nights some time off before coming to this Haskell run.
Well, actually, we had transferred him to a Timyak team, and he had him there, and I think he had like maybe a foot issue going, so they just stopped on him. I got him back, and I said, well, we'll just wait. And, he's running out of time, so we just freshened him up and thought we were trying to hopefully try to make the Preakness, but the timing just wasn't right. So I always had like the Haskell in the back of my mind that this would be the right spot for a horse like that. And he's the kind of horse that I like to give him extra time between races. I think he's, we'll find out this week. It's a really competitive field. I was just looking at it, go, wow, this is a good field.
Yeah, you're up against the Kentucky Derby winner as well. So not an easy task to come back to, right?
Well, it's an all-star cast, horses, jockeys, and trainers. I mean, you've got Richard Mandela, Cox, Atchison, Todd Pletcher, and myself, and some, you got the homeboys. They're always tough, and so it's you got Tapit Trice. On paper, he looks really strong, and it's the kind of race that they have to bring their A game, and so it's going to be probably one of the most competitive Haskells I've been in, and so it's going to be. I'm really excited about it. The horse shipped well. Jimmy Barnes is with him, who goes there, and he says everything's gone smoothly so far. And you need luck, and he needs to break well. He's still a young horse. 2 outs, that's it. He's going to get some seasoned horses and an extra anejo. He was like an all-star horse when he broke his maiden, like he was. So he's coming off the big. He's going to be really tough. So it's going to be a tough race.
Well, you mentioned in his preparation that perhaps the Preakness was coming up too soon. What have you kind of seen from him now returning to action that made you think he's ready to go?
Well, I mean, the way he's been breezing, he's probably been ready for a couple of weeks now, waiting for it. And, but it's, I think fitness wise, I think he's ready for it. He's a kind of horse that, these really good horses, you can just get them ready. You can just do so much with them, and then their their class will get them the rest of the way. So I think it's going to be a good test for him. And he's on the outside, so he needs to break well. At least he'll be in the clear if he breaks well. And so it's going to be interesting to see. We really don't know. He's been gone to the front because he's so fast. So Johnny Velasquez, he knows the horse pretty well. So we'll see how it shapes up early.
Great stuff there from Bob and Naomi. We're going to be getting into some more interviews regarding this Haskell Day. But first, we have a message from Monmouth Bets.
We're excited about the Haskell. We're also very excited about our Betmakers Bonanza, which the winner of the Haskell, Travers, and Breeders' Cup Classic, if one horse wins all three, there's $1 million bonus. Betmakers has been good enough to put up. We're excited about the Betmakers partnership with Fixed Odds. Fixed Odds has the potential for huge growth in the handle in this country, and we're happy to partner with Betmakers here at Monmouth Park, as well as on our Monmouth Bets app.
Good to hear from Dennis Drazen, such an important figure in really the sports betting and fixed odds landscapes. I wanted to ask you a question, Dallas, before we proceed, because Betmakers, for whom you work and are who are really helping launch the fixed odds movement in the USA, do this really interesting promotional thing, the Betmakers Bonanza. What can you tell us about that, Dallas?
Well, it's what we started in the year 2020 when Authentic did win the Bonanza, a slightly different Bonanza of what it is. So basically what we put up is $1 million for any horse that can go on to win as it stands now. The Haskell, the Travers, and then onto the Breeders' Cup. Pretty easy to do. You can just, come and walk outside and just turn around and do that any day of the week. I mean, obviously it's a bit of a challenge, but it's also $1 million. So look, I think we've seen a couple of horses that have come, a couple of extra horses that have come to the Haskell, and 1 or 2 extra horses make such a difference to races like this. So we've got a fantastic partnership with Dennis Drazen and all the team at Monmouth. That's been pretty much where we started our major business in the US, and anything that we can do to support and work in unison with them, especially doing a Haskell Day preview. We're more than happy to, and always excited to do so.
We will be back with an interview with one of our other key Haskell players right after this.
Monmouth Park's featured event is the TVG.com Haskell Stakes Saturday, July 22nd. Watch and wager as the country's top 3-year-olds converge on the Jersey Shore, looking to enhance their championship credentials. Play our $400,000 guaranteed late pick 4 and $200,000 late pick 5. First post, 12 noon. It's all TVG.com Haskell Day, Saturday, July 22nd at Monmouth Park Racetrack.
It's all about the efficient trip. I don't think he's a horse that's very complicated in needing to be somewhere to be effective. He can take dirt. He's comfortable on the lead. It's just about an efficient trip so that when he finds his rhythm and gets in a good rhythm, he can make his move.
Went into the decision to go to the Haskell instead of, for example, perhaps go to Saratoga for a prep there. That is, of course, if the Travers is still the goal later in this season.
Yeah, Monmouth Park has always been a forwardly placed favoring track, and so is Gulfstream Park. They're both services have some similarities, and the turns at Monmouth are a little similar to the Thurbit Training Center where we're at the moment. So it was a track that we felt he'd have more familiarity with, or at least have a less period of adjustment to than going to Saratoga, which is a demanding track. We were not able to ship, we're not just dealing with Mage. We have obviously a couple barns of several stakes horses. And for them, with some commitments in Kentucky, we weren't able to ship them as a group to Saratoga earlier to get him more experience over the Saratoga track. So we felt it was just made more sense to come off the layoff after the Preakness at home, which is at the Thurbit Training Center, and to start getting him going from the Thoroughbred Training Center. And being that the Haskell falls 5 weeks before the Travers, it made the most sense to pick this race. We're focused on carrying the mantle of being the Kentucky Derby winner, and that means running in the big races. So as long as Mage shows us that he's ready to do it. We would have loved to have had 5 workouts instead of the 3 that he's put in, but weather and other circumstances didn't prevented us from getting that. So like for ourselves, it's just about getting the ball rolling. You know what I mean? Like the Haskell, many great horses have won the Haskell, and many great horses have lost the Haskell and run second and run third and gone on to have an amazing year. And that's our mentality. Just perform well, put in a quality effort, and keep it moving. Look, he's sound 100% ready to run. Is he cranked to the gills like he was before the Kentucky Derby? Just mathematically, anyone who can look at workouts can see that and know that that's not possible. Now, if people aren't educated as horse people to understand fitness and training regimens and training programs, well, then hopefully this gives them a little insight to understand like that kind of development for a racehorse when they're coming off a layoff and with the limited amount of workouts you're able to put in. It's just, some people don't know what that means. So hopefully this gives them a little clarity and perspective. He's 100% healthy and he's, fit to put forth a quality effort and move forward from this race.
Great stuff there from Ramiro Restrepo and Naomi Ramiro, a real student of the game. Want to remind you that today's show is brought to you by Monmouth Bets. You can find them at monmouthbets.com. Your opportunity to bet fixed odds, not just on Monmouth, but on an array of tracks across the country, and get your fixed odds bets loaded there anytime you're in the state of New Jersey. Dallas, how's it been going on the Monmouth Bet side?
Yeah, it's great, Pete. We're just gradually getting more and more content in week by week. Penn National was a newcomer this week. So that was welcome on Penn. That's great. And we've been taking some good bets on them. But and of course, you can also obviously download the apps on whether you are an Apple user or an Android user, whatever the case is, you can download the app, which most people these days prefer to do too, Pete. But sign-up bonuses there for you if you're a new account opener. Just go to, as you said, Monmouth Bets, or go to your App or Android store and go from there.
Just to set the table before we get to the race that gives the day its name, we are going to hear from that man, Bob Baffert, again, going for his 10th Haskell. We're going to hear what he thinks makes this race so special.
Monmouth Park, it's not a prep for anything. It's a real race. Okay, it's the Haskell, and it's a great one. It's $1 million, and it's like in golf. It's a major. Okay, and that's what the Haskell is. So we're looking forward to it.
They've been great interviews, Naomi. I've had the unenviable task of actually having to edit them down, and there's some great stuff. And I'm pretty sure that they're on. If you want to see the full interviews at the Monmouth Park YouTube channel, they should be on. Great interviews. But Naomi, from the both obviously superstar gentlemen that you spoke to, there was a bit of a theme that I took from it, that one was indicating horses in Mage first up, will improve. Whereas Bob Baffert was saying no, and with that quote he just said, no, it's the Haskell, it's a golf major. He was ready 2 weeks ago. What was with you doing those interviews? Was that a sort of a take that you took from them?
Well, that's quite interesting, isn't it? One person saying, look, it's a prep race. We're looking at the Travers. We're using the Haskell as a step up because it suited us better. Whereas Baffert is going, this was the goal all along. This horse was ready to fire 3 weeks ago. We are here to win our 10th Haskell. So from a betting point of view, if you are looking at this field, you might want to take that into account, that Arabian Night is firing on all 4 cylinders, and Mage is still developing and continuing in that kind of upward trajectory. Now, thing is though, you start looking at the formula, but Mage is the Kentucky Derby winner, so it's really tough to really pinpoint what you want to do with that. I mean, clearly Bob Baffert has a tremendous record in this race, so if he says he's ready to win it, kind of got to take his word for it, right?
Absolutely.
Nick, I want to ask you what you think as a horse player when you hear quotes from Ramiro, from the trainer, and they're almost building in that excuse before. So I don't know if it's to reduce expectations, if it's to help in the Eclipse campaign, whatever it is. But as a horse player, do you take that seriously, or do you think they're just, sort of the old college football thing, godding up the opponent just in case they lose?
Half and half.
Yeah.
We try to sort of listen in between the lines, if you know what I mean. Because I've spoken to so many trainers over the years that just taking their word for it, they don't always know either, right? It's still horse racing. Anything can happen. So do I completely adjust my betting strategy for it? No, I don't. No, I do look at just what's on paper, what I've seen, and what I'm thinking. Now, does that mean I might be wrong? Sure, but I'd rather be wrong than taking someone else's word and then they're wrong. I'd rather blame it on myself. So
and I think that's the whole part of it. And I know we're running behind time, but I think that's the whole thing is that, we've got great people on this panel that can provide wonderful information, but it's how you decipher it. And I think it should always come back to your own work and your own decisions. Okay, well, what do you want to hear from that trainer? The trainer says, I think the horse will win. Well, whoopie whoop. Great. Everyone does. But how, I thought that having 2 extra works as opposed to 1 was critical. Did it get those 2 works? Is that what I was looking for from the trainer as well too? What are you actually looking for out of it rather than just the fluff? And as Naomi said, read between the lines. Anyway, sorry.
Nick, what do you make of Mage in general and this debate we're having about the readiness situation?
I mean, at risk of sounding overly harsh or flippant, I just assume every time I hear a trainer talk, they're lying. Because I just don't see what benefit they have.
Big shout out to all our trainer friends.
I mean, they don't get much out of telling the truth. So, I mean, in this scenario, Ramiro's setting himself up beautifully, and of course, he's a mutual friend of ours for maybe a Miami mayoral run, because it's like the perfect political statement, right? If the horse wins, it's, oh my God, he won and he wasn't even framed. And if he loses, it's, oh gosh, he lost because it was a prep. So, I don't think that, I mean, I'm being cheeky, but I don't think they put the saddle on him without thinking he could win. But I also understand that the Travers is the race that they covet. I have a hard time believing he's anything less than 100%. I think he's probably pretty darn close to it, if not. So I'm looking forward to seeing the showdown, and I think the banter beforehand is a lot of fun, and I'm glad that we were able to get so much of it captured by Naomi.
Arabian Night. Let's talk about his credentials. Speed figure wise, this is the horse to beat. Experience wise, you can argue he's got something to find. Naomi, we'll bring you back in. Where do you ultimately land on Arabian Night's chances in this year's Haskell?
I went back and forth quite a bit in this race, because I was like, I either go all the way with Arabian Night, everyone's hyping him up to be that star 3-year-old on the West Coast, or I'm gonna go, you know what, let everyone put their money on him. I'm going to hope that this is a little bit out of his league. He's still, he's still developing. He hasn't really faced what some of the others have faced yet. And I'm going to go against him. And that's what I'm doing. I'm going against the Arabian Night.
All right. We'll get to your verdict as the conversation.
Okay. Well, I mean, I suppose the debate is how good are the 3-year-olds? And I always feel like, as the Australian coming in here, if I criticize the 3-year-olds, it's almost, how dare you sort of thing. But are the 3-year-olds any good this year? Let's just be like Nick just was very brutally honest. Let's be brutally honest. Are they any good?
Nick, we'll let you answer that one first.
Not particularly. They're okay. They're probably a little bit better than okay. Not much more than that. I mean, speed figure wise, they're a ragtag bunch. There's really been nobody that stepped forward. But, I would have answered the same way a year ago. And yet by the end of the year, Epicenter and Taba had really stood out as the 2 best 3-year-olds by far. So because a lot of these campaigns don't necessarily really accelerate until the second half of the year, especially for a horse like a Bob Baffert trainee, where we've seen him do this so many times, this could be a totally different conversation in 3 months. But as of right now, they're a barely above average group. They're a slow group in general, speed figure wise. But I mean, Naomi said that Arabian Night's making his 3rd start, right? Arcangelo has run 4 times. Mage is still very lightly raced. So these are horses that could all end up taking a pretty clear step forward. And I think we could be maybe singing a slightly different tune in the future.
I think implicit in Dallas's question is the idea that, you know, the more average you think they are, the more you're going to be excited about Arabian Night based on what he's shown. Am I right with that?
That was exactly what I was going to say, Mr. Fornatal.
Yes. But does that mean so in your view, do you think this is an Arabian Night?
Moral, special, certainty, wins by 6.
Really?
Yeah. Look, I went through all the tapes last night and had a look at it. Mage won the derby, getting the right run at 15-1. Tappet, getting my Tappets confused. It was, you know, always in the market, sort of had a bad run, but whatever. It's sort of always been there about. I just got less and less impressed by looking through the classics, and then I just saw Arabian Night. I just saw in that last that last furlong or sort of a part where it just showed that probably 4 strides, a real big acceleration where it bang, bang, bang. And I thought, okay, that might be something there. So, yeah, I mean, I might be over the top moral declaring it a certainty or whatever, but may as well make some noise. But I just think different form. I really like what Bob Baffert said. And I'll go back to last year when Tiber was there. I remember interviewing Bob about it as well too. And he, at that time, he sort of indicated that Tiber was probably a week or 2 early for it. So it's not like he's come in and just been, you know, building it up, but because this time last year he said it wasn't ready, so or wasn't as ready as it should be, or he would have liked it. So from what I heard from Naomi's interviews and all that, yeah, I'm Arabian Night for sure.
And what we'll do, on another show we used to do a How to Speak Australian segment. We'll go to that here. Moral is basically their version of Mortal Lock, I think is the US
number in the frame. Don't even worry about it. Race is over. Just don't lose your ticket. That's the only thing you got to worry about.
Tappet Trice, who Dallas mentioned, another key player in here, looking at this market, and a horse I feel like we have to discuss. I feel like he has shown greenness in every race, and I feel like it's one of these things you can read it either way. Maybe you just don't want to deal with a horse that seems physically incapable of running behind another horse, or maybe you say, if this guy grows up, as Tappet horses often do, maybe he could take a step forward. Are you buying the case for Tappet Trice, Naomi, in the Haskell?
I'm buying it to try and create value. Is that a really like horse players kind of terminology that I'm using here? I'm buying it because what I'm doing is trying to create value against Arabian Night going to receive a fair bit of money. Now, I did see Tappet Trice in the flesh at the Belmont as well as at the Bluegrass. Belmont, of course, going that 1.5 miles. We're now cutting back again to, I think, a distance that it's fine for him as well, that 1.1 miles. I love this Bluegrass run. I actually thought he was very strong there. That last bit against Verifying, the 2 going head to head, I thought it was pretty professional there. So I wouldn't put it past him to show up and to do well enough. Is he my pick to win? No. Do I use him underneath because I want to create value? That's what I'm doing with him.
You know, and you might, Pete, can I just add in there too?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
There's no real specific lead up to the Haskell, but obviously, you know, the Derby and the main races are. The amount of times that I've watched a feature race, like a grand final or something like that, and you walk away and go, oh, yeah, of course, the favourite in the lead up. It might have got beaten or whatever, but it's come out, then you've let it go around at 12-1. In the race before, it was 2-1. It comes up and you look at it and go, yeah, of course, the favourite in the lead up. It's so yeah, I think with Tappet Trice, that's where he gets really, really good marks, is that he's been close enough to the top of the market in all of those races.
Nick, there's a couple of interesting mid prices in here we haven't talked about yet, in the form of Extra on Yeho and Go Rocket Ride, even Salute the Stars in the betting. What do you think of any of their chances?
Well, I mean, look, I'm going to need to be resuscitated if Tappet Trice wins this race. I mean, I will be absolutely stunned. This is just so not his game. This is a horse also that came back and worked twice, missed a work, had a work, then ended up going here. It feels like a total afterthought to me. I think he's kind of a takeout killer at 3-1. I think Salute the Stars of that trio is the most interesting. And I know he's going to need to improve again. He ran a heck of a race in the Pegasus, the baby Pegasus, so to speak, in breaking poorly, getting into some early trouble. You know, Kingsbarns had as soft a trip as you could possibly have, and he wore him down very nicely. Now, this is a huge jump in class. But I like that Brad Cox is sticking with with what he's doing, running the horse back at Monmouth. He ran well there. Joel's a good fit. Joel is going to just take this horse back and basically bank on somebody pushing Arabian Night. And if nobody does, then Joel's going to ride for second. And so this is, to me, if you're looking to bet the exacta and you don't like Mage, you're kind of one punching the 8-3 here. I think that Extra Añejo is a good horse. I don't really love the idea of him at 1 1/8 in a race where he's probably going to have to chase Arabian Night for the first half mile or so. I just don't think that's a big recipe for success for him. Go Rocket Ride drew poorly. Otherwise, is a talented horse, does have the ability to sit just a little bit off the pace. One win for Richard Mandela east of the Mississippi in the last 5 years. I know he doesn't do it much, but just not really his comfort zone shipping outside of California.
We're going to get to our verdicts on the Haskell, and we've got some more great content for you coming up. But first, I think we should take a look at this speed map for the Haskell. Dallas, you seem like the one with the absolutely strongest opinion here. How does the pace map back up your idea?
Yeah, I mean, look, you don't want a horse to be bustled. I mean, I think over anything when you're getting out to beyond a mile, you definitely just want to be able to be jump. Just like horses to be able to jump and flop. So, whether they're a leader or not, whatever it is, just get comfortable early. The outside draw from the leader, there's a long enough run to the straight. So like if something in the inside wants to kick up, don't be silly, just sit outside lead. I think Arabian Night can do that. If he gets an easy, I would be most comfortable if he got an easy lead. But I just don't want to. I would hate if there was a little bit, even the slightest bit of pressure around the first bend, and jockeys getting a bit egomaniac about who's going to lead and who's not. I hate that. So and especially in such a pressure race as the Haskell, I would much rather see him slot in if there's something kicking up and wanting to Yahoo.
Who do you think gets the lead here early, Naomi? Do you think Arabian Night can clear?
I think they're going to try. I think they're going to try. That's kind of what Bob highlighted as well. And look, he's got Johnny Velasquez on board, right? Hall of Fame rider for a reason. He's going to try. And if it doesn't work out, I'm sure he's going to just sit on the shoulder of Go Rocket Ride or whoever ends up on the lead if he doesn't. But he's on the outside. So there's no way anyone's going to end up going around him and pressuring him. I think that's a benefit for him. Bob did say he didn't really like the outside because then you have to come over, which, yeah, is the case. But I guess the benefit is that nobody's going to be breathing down your neck. You can be the one dominating. And I think that as a jockey gives you options, right? You can intimidate a horse on your inside a little bit. Now look, he's got Mike Smith on Go Rocket Ride. So I think we've got two very experienced Hall of Fame riders here. So I don't think you can intimidate Mike Smith that much. But still, from that kind of tactical point of view, I'd say that's probably what Johnny's going to try and do, is try and come over, try and clear. If it doesn't work, it's horse racing, he'll probably be trying to intimidate Go Rocket Ride or anyone who's on his inside.
And I think it's better for Johnny V is probably one of the best controlling riders, whether that's in the lead or outside lead. I think he controls the situation as good as anyone in the country.
I liken the jockey on the outside most drawn speed horse, almost like the player sitting on the button in poker. Others have to play their hands before it gets to him. So I think it's actually an enviable spot, either trip being possible. Nick, do you agree? Do you like this draw for Arabian Night?
Oh, sure. It's the best draw by far. Bob's funny, right? Because if he had drawn the 1, it would have been, he's got the inside. We're going to have to take pressure from the start. And if you had the 5, it would have been, he's got Go Rocket Ride outside of him, right? It's the best draw
big hello to the newly elected president of the Trainers Association of the USA.
Exactly, right. Yeah. I have a communications future. But no, I mean, Johnny's the best around when it comes to the front end or the first over stalking trip. So, I mean, this is right in his wheelhouse. And, pace figure wise, there are a number of horses in here that have never run nearly as fast as Arabian Night did in his second start. So, do you really think Mikey's going on a suicide mission with Go Rocket Ride? He's probably the fastest horse in the race, push comes to shove. I don't see Extra Añejo going, given that he rated comfortably off a runoff speed horse last time. I think Arabian Night gets the lead when they straighten out down the backstretch, and he's going to be awfully tough from there.
Let's get to the verdicts on this year's Haskell. Dallas, you've already tipped your hand. Naomi, how are you going to play this?
So I'm either going to be a genius at the end of this, or Arabian Night just ran off the screen and I'm sitting here going, well, I tried. right?
Somebody will be right. That's the good news.
You would one of us wins, Naomi. That's the good news.
So yeah, I was trying to be clever here. I do very much respect Mage. Just, you know, one of only a handful of horses. Tapper Trice did it too, but Mage, one of only a handful of horses that has run triple-digit buyer figures. Even if he isn't cranked, he's just an incredibly talented horse. So I kind of still think this is his race to lose, and we just don't know what we have with Arabian Night. So I'm banking against that by taking a shot using an exacta box, using the 4, the 5, and the 7 for quite a bit of money. $100 exacta box, so that's about 600 to try and create the value here. So if Arabian Night doesn't run 1 or 2, I'm laughing. But if he does, I was wrong. But this is that guessing game of how quick does a 3-year-old develop? How good is this horse really? We don't know. He could indeed be the star of the 3-year-old crop. Nick mentioned there hasn't been like a standout horse yet. But I'm going with taking a stab in looking at the market and looking how it's shaping up at present, because I think Arabian Night is the favorite and will continue to take all the interest.
Nick, let's hear your final answer.
Yeah, I hate to just kind of go with the majority, but it looks like Arabian Night's going to be tough here. This felt like I've been a fan of this horse since Breeders' Cup Day last year, and I asked on Twitter about a month ago if anybody knew where he was running, and I was quickly told the Haskell, and I thought to myself, well, if Bob's running this horse in the Haskell off a 180-day layoff, then he's or nearly 180-day layoff. He's going to be ready to go, and these workouts look like they've been. I've not read any workout reports. I've not seen any opinions on how he's been training, but I'm guessing if he's firing off 7/8 breezes every Saturday, he's going to be doing pretty well. So I think he'll be awfully tough to handle, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it all shakes out, because one thing we do have in this race is depth. So, you know, whether there is a standout yet, we'll see. I think we'll learn a lot more from this one.
That's our thoughts on the big one. We've got plenty of more great content for you, but right now we're going to go to another word from our sponsor, Monmouth Bets.
Monmouth Bets is New Jersey's exclusive home for fixed odds betting on horse racing, including this weekend's bumper Haskell Day card. But it's not just Monmouth Park races you can place fixed odds bets. Tracks are available from the US and international venues. Download the Monmouth Bets app now and receive a free $50 bet once you verify. Fixed odds betting. The odds you bet are the odds you get. Available in New Jersey only. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details. Monmouth Bets, the only place to bet online fixed odds horse racing in the US.
Well, Haskell Day is obviously the big ticket item this weekend. Monmouth Bets is offering fixed odds on multiple venues around the US, Canada, Jamaica, even South America. Here are the best betting plays from some of our experts as we go around the grounds.
Hey everybody, Jim Miller here, racing analyst at Hawthorne Racecourse. We're talking about the best fixed odds wagering play for Sunday's card. That's going to come in race number 7 with the 1-horse Aviano. This one from the barn of trainer Antonio Miraz. Horse that tends to sit back a little bit early on and come charging at him late. But this is a horse that was also fantastic in New York last year. Looks to get a great pace set up ahead of it, and if you can get that 7-2 on Aviano, definitely worth the play. Good luck.
2 feature races on the Saturday's Century Mile card, races 7 and 8. 7th race is the 38th running of the Count Latham. My best bet for that one will be 6-1 for Chet. Taking a big drop in class here for the $50,000 stake race. Was 7th in a $125,000 stake race, and will like the improvement with the extra 2 furlongs in this one. And with the 8th race, the 62nd running of the Century Mile Handicap, I went with the 3 Masquerades. Was wide throughout the race and just got nosed down at the end. Is it going to be as wide? Going to be a lot closer to the pace. And I expect this one in the winner's enclosure. Once again, 6-1 for Chap in race 7 and 3 Masquerades in race 8.
We're going to the nightcap. I'm not really a fan of betting $1.80 fixed odds price or $1.80 price in any form. But Lure of Lucy, number 11, is just clearly the best horse in the race, best post position in the race, quickest horse in the race, looks great at exercise relative to a lot of these, and should have a simple task here. So we will go with $1.80, even though we're not a fan of $1.80s, just because she is just the best horse in the race. And sometimes That's all you have to do. Bet the best horse in the race, regardless of the price.
Race 5, I love the one, kid you not. I'm probably going to do a 1-6 and a 1-5 cold exacta here, but kid you not is the lone speed of the race. Here in U.S. racing, if you're lone speed, it might be tough to catch. This horse has seen better competition at Fairgrounds and Churchill Downs. Won nice last time out, about 2.5 length winner at odds of 5-2. Because of the way our odds set up here, I'm expecting about 5-2 again here today.
Grade 1 action is up next in the form of the United Nations. We're going 1 mile and 3/8 on the turf. Looks pretty competitive at the top of the market. Nick, we'll start with you. Just generally speaking with this race, are you thinking you're interested in one at the top of the market, or are you looking at something at a little bit more of a price?
Yeah, no, I think Red Knight is a very clear favorite here. I have no doubt that he's better than these horses. I know Planetario comes in looking particularly sharp off that big win in the San Juan Capistrano. He might actually be a little too long-winded for this race. 1 mile and 3/8 at Monmouth is a quicker, much qucker race than 1.5 miles at Santa Anita, in my opinion, even though you do literally start going down the hill. And so I also think the Red Knight has a little bit more tactical speed. The Man of War, for example, if you use that race as a benchmark for what type of horse Red Knight is, he was within range of the pace to the point where he can stay, close enough to not be too far out of it. And I think that'll prove a big advantage. I did not realize first go round how well he ran in the Manhattan. You say he ran 4th beaten 4 lengths in a turf race. How could he have run that well? That was a race, of course, where the winner won by almost 3. I mean, up to the mark, buried the field that day. He essentially lost a photo, or he was 1.25 lengths behind a photo for second. So he really didn't run poorly at all. And I think he's a horse that, again, distance-wise, he's getting to what he does best. I think class-wise, he's also kind of a standout to me.
Before we get out of here, I want to show in graphic form the plays that our experts have come up with on the show here. And let's take a look at that right now. You can see how Naomi and Nick are going to go head-to-head here and spend some of their money across this loaded Haskell Day card with all these stakes and great betting opportunities from our friends at Monmouth Bets, monmouthbets.com. We encourage folks to sign up. There's even a little bonus offer now, Dallas, for new Monmouth Bets signups. How does that work?
Very easy, Pete. Just get on, verify your account, and you got a free $50 bet. So, like, if you are in New Jersey, whatever you think about fixed odds or whatever, you might as well just grab a $50 free bet and never come back if you don't like it. But give it a try. Look, I mean, it's great fun. I mean, the element of fixed odds just puts such a different layer into how you assess racing. Like, we're here talking about the value, the price, and like Naomi was saying, like looking for some value in races and all of that, and it just puts such it just adds more excitement to it, and it just really is the grabbing of people where really you can gravitate towards and get really hardcore racing fans who enjoy betting and enjoy the skill of trying to win on the punt.
We are just about out of time. Does anybody have any closing thoughts for our audience before we get out of here?
Yeah, go sign up at Monmouth Bets, right? Get involved in fixed odds betting. It's a new wave that is ready for you. Get on board.
And don't forget the app or the App Store or the Android, whatever you're using to, if you want to use an app rather than the traditional website.
Well, like you said, fixed odds allows you to lock in that value. So if you have a strong opinion and you think that the odds actually are, way too high for the chances the horse have, lock it in now, because that's where you secure the value. That's obviously something that you can't do with the tote pools when it's commingled. But with the fixed odds, you can basically do whatever you want and it's locked in, which is awesome.
How does the phrase go, Dallas? The odds you bet are the odds you get. I've said that once or twice on the In the Money.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, and I'm thinking you've got your normal sign off with may the photos go your way or whatever.
Something like, hey, that's my line. We can't have you steal.
Well, may everybody get the best odds. How about that?
For Nick Tamaro, for Naomi Tucker, for Dallas Bakers, and our friends at Monmouth Bets and monmouthbets.com and the Monmouth Bets app, I'm Peter Thomas Fornatel. May you win all your Haskell Day fixed odds photos.